Hello, children. This is me, Veena, your storyteller. Today, I want to share something very special. Yesterday, you know what happened? It was the best day of my life. And you know why? Because I was lucky enough to meet the lady I admire endlessly, my favorite author. She is none other than Mrs. Sudha Murty. So you see, she inspires millions. Her inspirational quotes are a lesson for all of us. I am inspired by her each and every time. Her smile is something which makes you feel so happy. She is so approachable. I was delighted to meet her personally. This is Veena, your storyteller. Today I'm here to tell you a story from Sudha Murty's Grandma's Bag of Stories. I love reading this book, so I thought I'm going to share. There are a lot of short stories there, okay? And I thought I'm going to tell you one story from here. But before that, Sudha Murty, of course, is a very favorite author of mine. I simply admire this lady so much, and she's a great inspiration for me as well. Well, she's a prolific writer in English and Kannada. She has written many books, and her books have been translated into all the major Indian languages. She is also the recipient of the R.K. Narayan Award for Literature and Padma Shri in 2006. Her stories are a reflection of her childhood, which she heard from her grandmother. And now as a grandmother, she also tells stories to her grandchildren. We all love to listen to stories from our grandparents, isn't it? I too remember as a child, I used to look forward to my grandma's visit, or during my summer vacations, I used to go and visit them and listen to the stories, which I remember till date. So this is the way we pass on stories from generation to generation. So now let's get started. The name of the story is 5 Spoons of Salt. So the story starts about a girl named Gita who is very forgetful. She forgets a lot. She doesn't remember what she's been asked to do. And in this context, what happens as the story follows, you'll come to know. I've selected the story 5 Spoons of Salt. I love this story for no particular reason, but I thought I'd love to read out to you. So let's get started. Gita, where are you? I need you to run down to the medical store and fetch these medicines for me. Now, who was that? That was Gita's grandfather. But what was Gita doing? Gita was lying on her bed and reading a book. It was very hot outside, so Gita did not feel like going out. So she pretended that she did not hear her grandfather's voice, and she didn't feel like stirring out of bed. Gita! This time her mother called. So reluctantly she had to leave her bed, and she came. What happened? Then the grandfather said, my dear Gita, please go and fetch this medicine. I'm having an awful headache. And she took the money and just went off. As soon as she set off for the store, on the way she passed a sweet shop. Oh, what lovely gulab jamuns, laddus and jalebis were all displayed. Gita thought, I must have some of these. And she immediately forgot what was given to her. And she started entering the shop and sitting and eating the sweets. Soon a friend came by and joined her. The two girls were chatting and eating, chatting and eating, chatting and eating, and that is how the time passed. And she totally forgot what her grandfather had asked her to do. Poor grandfather with the awful headache. Afternoon turned to evening. The medical store shut for the day. So when Gita remembered why she had stepped out of her house, then she hurried back home. And grandfather said, Gita, did you get the medicines? She just didn't say anything. What could she say? Then the grandfather was very disappointed and said, when will you grow up, Gita, and become responsible? She felt very bad, but did she mend her ways? Now let's find out what happens. She was such a forgetful person. What happened one time when her mother had told her to collect the clothes from the washing line outside, she remembered to do so only the next morning. By then, the clothes were soaked through all over again because of the overnight rains. Another day, that was not the end of it, okay? She had to take her sister's lunchbox to school. On the way, she saw a circus was in town. All morning, you can imagine what she did. She spent wandering around the circus tents, watching the animals eating and training for the acts. It was only when she felt hungry herself did she look down at the lunchbox in her hand and realized her sister must have gone home by then, after spending a day in school without her lunch. Another time, her father had asked her, Gita, can you please iron my shirt? I have to get ready. So Gita picked up the shirt and placed it on the ironing table next to the window. Then what happened? As soon as she started ironing, she saw that there was a fruit vendor who passed by with big, fat, juicy mangoes in his basket. And next, you know what happened? She forgot what was given to her. She gets distracted very easily. And she started going and choosing the best mangoes. Only when smoke started billowing out and the shirt had burnt as crisp as a toast did she look around and see what happened. Her father was very upset indeed that day. Some days after this incident, Gita was very happy because she announced that the teacher said that we are going to take you all the children for a picnic. And Gita was also very excited like other children. The teacher had asked each student to bring one food item from home which would be shared by all the children. Gita had chosen to bring sambar because she was very proud of her mother's tasty, tangy sambar and was eager to share it with her friends so that they would taste it too. Gita's mother agreed to make a big pot of sambar for her to take to the picnic the next day. And that night, Gita went to bed feeling very happy, dreaming about the exciting day ahead. The next morning, her mother woke up early and started making the sambar. She boiled the dal, added the vegetables, coconut and all the spices and set the pot boiling on the stove. Soon a delicious aroma wafted out from the pot and tickled Gita's nose as she lay sleeping in bed. Seeing her stir, her mother told her, Gita, wake up now, my dear. See, the sambar is nearly done. I am going to the temple, so after some time, please add 5 teaspoons of salt to it. Don't forget now and wake up and get ready quickly. So saying, she busted off. Gita's grandmother, who was in the kitchen, heard this and thought, Gita, oh God, I'm sure she's going to forget. So you know what grandmother did? She went to the kitchen, and what do you think she did? She thought all the children will laugh at my granddaughter if there's no salt in the sambar, so she added some salt in the pot. Gita's grandfather was now sitting in the veranda reading his newspaper. He thought, Gita, I'm sure she's going to forget. So this time, he also entered the kitchen and added some salt to the pot. Gita's sister was combing her hair, ready to go off to school. She remembered that Gita did not give her her lunchbox and thought all her friends will laugh at Gita, so I better enter the kitchen and add some salt to the pot. Gita's brother, Gita, I'm sure she's going to forget again, and I better go and add some salt to the pot. Who was left? Gita's father. Gita's father remembered his crispy shirt and thought, I better help my daughter, otherwise her friends will have a great time laughing at her. And he too slipped into the kitchen and added salt to the pot of sambar. By now, Gita had woken up. And wonder of wonders, can you believe what happened? Gita actually remembered what her mother had asked her to do. So she entered the kitchen and she added 5 teaspoons as she was asked by her mother. By now, her mother had returned and quickly poured the sambar into a big pot and sent her daughter off for her picnic. At the picnic spot, the children had a wonderful time roaming around and playing. Soon they were too hungry to do anything else. Out came the plates and spoons and all the containers filled to the brim with food. Plates were piled up with rice, chutneys, vegetables, puris, papad, and all kinds of goodies. Everyone took large helpings of the sambar as Gita served it out. But no sooner had they put the first spoonful in their mouths. Ugh, horrible! Water! Everybody started shouting. Astonished, Gita wondered what was wrong. Then she too tasted the rice and sambar. It was disgusting. It was as if her mother had dredged out all the salt in the sea and added it to the sambar. Then Gita remembered her mother had not added salt. Then what? How did this go wrong? What happened actually? She was confused. That day, Gita returned home with a very sad face. Everybody, all her family members were waiting excitedly to hear from her what happened in the picnic. But when they saw Gita was all with a very big frowning face and very sad, and in fact she was crying, everybody burst out, Gita, what happened? Did anyone else add? Then Gita started crying and saying, did anyone add salt in the sambar? Grandmother said, I did. Grandfather said, I did too. And the father said, I added salt too. Then the brother said, I added too. And me too, said the sister. They all looked at each other in dismay. No wonder Gita looked so sad. Her friends would have made her feel miserable about the salty sambar. Why did you all do this? Amba had told only me. Amma had asked me only to add the salt. Why did you do that? The mother told Gita, oh dear, you forget everything you are told. So we thought perhaps you wouldn't remember this time. All of us said sadly. That's why they were feeling very bad actually. Now her mother pulled her close, wiped away her tears and said, see, all this has happened because no one can believe you could do anything without being reminded many times about it. Promise, you will be a careful, responsible girl from now on, and we will all trust you to do your work. Gita sniffed and nodded her head. She did become careful about the chores after that, and it took a lot of convincing, but her friends did come for lunch one day to taste her mother's tasty, tangy sambar. And everyone agreed that it was the best sambar they had ever eaten. So you see, children, what happens when you're very forgetful and not responsible? To try to mend your ways and remember this story. I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I did. So bye, children, till we meet again with another story, and do take care of yourselves.